Part 3. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 21. He was browsing the Red Lotus Realm Resentful Spirit Event Forum. In the past 3 years, there have been more and more incidents of resentful spirits, and naturally a forum has been formed where such incidents of resentful spirits gather. Various urban legends and mysterious stories will be updated from time to time. Every time Lin Yi watches it, he will pay attention to new stories and information, analyze and understand these strange events. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. In case you encounter something similar in the future, it will be of great help. At this time, his eyes fell on a post. The content of the post is as follows. Water monkeys appeared in the Hawaii River and have attacked 3 cargo ships, killing more than dozens of people. The police have secretly blocked the news and claimed that it was caused by the cargo ship hitting a rock. It's all nonsense. The Hawaii River Canal has been open to shipping for decades, and nothing like this has ever happened. There are rumors that the accident happened to the 3 cargo ships in the evening, and some residents near the canal saw strange shadows emerging from the water. Smash the bottom of the boat and the whole boat will sink into the water. All the diving crew members were attacked by water monkeys and dragged into the water. There are countless comments below this post. Several of them caught Lin Yi's attention. There is internal information that the Empire has sent men in black to investigate. Legend has it that the men in black are full of all kinds of strange people. The latest news is that various lights occurred under the Hawaii River last night, and there is a suspected fight. Looking at the news, Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and said, "Sure enough, there is no shortage of strong people in this empire who can deal with the resentful spirit incident." The mysterious woman in the Red Lotus Mansion last time was also terrifying. The power used is definitely not the power of martial arts practice. It seems that there is a deeper existence hidden in this world. A few hundred meters outside the cemetery, on the top of another hill, a black stretched car parked here. 2 people were sitting in this car, and one of them was the elderly gentleman Xiaoqiu. An indifferent female voice sounded, "Housekeeper, are you sure it's a strange thing?" "I'm sure, there is a strange smell left at the scene. But it has dissipated now. That weird thing should be in the cemetery, and the probability of it appearing at night is very high. Well, just wait here and see if this person can really handle weird objects. The resentful spirit in the Red Lotus Mansion is suspected to be a strange thing. I'm curious as to why an ordinary warrior can handle strange objects." The car became quiet and time passed slowly. The sky is dark, and the winter night always comes quickly. At 6 or 7 o'clock, the sky has darkened. As the sky darkened, Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and looked around. I randomly picked out a few high-calorie compressed biscuits from my pocket and ate them. Drinking mineral water, eating biscuits, sitting on a chair, feeling the tranquility of the night. From time to time, his eyes flashed sharply across the cemetery. Night is the time when evil spirits appear. Lin Yi finished his dinner and got up to exercise. With 8 steps under his feet, his body sank slightly, and a faint golden layer rose from his skin. In this dark night, it is still dazzling, like a golden statue. Veda's honor. King Kong's angry eyes. Tiger Arhat. Dragon subduing King Kong. After performing a set of 36 movements of the Dragon Sutra, Lin Yi felt relaxed all over. Lin Yi felt that he had reached his peak state, and there was a little more energy in his body. At this level, his next cultivation direction is to accumulate his energy to its peak. Continuously expand the upper limit and capacity of your own essence. The main reason why he did this was that he didn't know what to do next. The cultivation methods currently available to him will no longer be available after reaching the summit. He didn't know whether there would be a path to cultivation in the future. But at least so far, he is already ahead of most people. It was already after 9 o'clock at night, and the tomb area was silent and deathly silent. There are basically no plants here, and the basic conditions for the survival of birds, animals, and insects are lacking. So the later it gets late at night, the quieter it becomes. The moonlight was lingering, and a silvery moonlight fell. In Lin Yi's sight, everything in the cemetery was clearly visible. Suddenly, the sound of a car sounded, catching his attention. The sound came from outside the cemetery, and he turned over and jumped onto the wall. Looking towards the direction where the sound came from, a taxi appeared on the road 100 meters away. At this time, it stopped on the side of the road. Lin Yi's eyes were very good and he could see things clearly even 100 meters away. In the taxi, a woman's figure was talking to a man. In the car, a beautiful woman in white looked at the taxi driver. "Driver, I'm sorry, I seem to have forgotten my money." The woman is charming, with shy eyebrows. She looks less than 30, and exudes the temperament of a mature woman. Her skin was as white as jade, and her eyes seemed to be filled with water. She looked at the taxi driver pitifully and brightly. The driver was a middle-aged man with a big belly. Looking at the woman in white, a surge of energy and blood rushed to the top of his head. As soon as his head was dizzy, he couldn't hold it anymore. He stood up from the front seat and rushed towards the woman in white. "If you don't have money, just use your body to pay it back." His eyes were red, as if he had lost his mind, and a looming force was affecting his reason. "Ah, no, no, let me go." The woman resisted and struggled weakly. It ignited the driver's beastly nature, and he became more and more excited, and pressed the woman all over. The woman hummed shyly, and then a piece of life-harmonious music sounded in the car. Lin Yi sat on the wall and watched from afar with great interest. "Interesting, just bored, there are people performing action movies live, you can see something interesting." With a bad smile on his lips, Lin Yi watched with relish. Although everything was looming through the car window, he could still see a general idea. Suddenly, he thought of what he said to the taxi driver this morning. "No way, I'm so lucky to meet it." With the mood of watching the excitement, Lin Yi's eyes turned up a trace of green light. The world has changed a lot. The whole world is shrouded in a silver glow. There are countless colorful light spots floating in the silver glow, which is the energy floating around. At this time, Lin Yi's eyes were focused on the taxi. The scene he saw changed into another one. A naked man was entangled with a rotten ghost. A trace of his breath was flowing into the other person's body through the contact point. A feeling of nausea surged in his heart, making Lin Yi feel like vomiting. "It's really disgusting. I guess I'll have sty in my eyes tomorrow. This is too irritating." Lin Yi's brows kept frowning, and the green light in his eyes dissipated, and his senses felt much better. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 22. After a while, and with a grunt of satisfaction, the driver lay down like a dead pig. The car door opened, and a satisfied woman in white walked out of the car. He glanced disdainfully at the fat pig lying in the back seat of the car with his lower body and bare buttocks, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Sperm-like man, tastes good." This resentful spirit seems to be completely intelligent, and it is not inferior. It looks almost like a living person. She was seen swaying, step by step, towards a tomb in the cemetery. After walking into it, it disappeared in the blink of an eye. At this time, the driver in the back seat of the car slowly woke up. Looking at the empty waiting seats, he said with a cheeky smile, "It's really the best. I'm really lucky. You can brag about it tomorrow." At this time, he quickly pulled up his pants, packed up and drove away. The tomb area once again fell into an eerie silence, with no sound at all. Lin Yi sat on the wall and shrugged, the fun always ends quickly. This resentful spirit is actually very interesting and looks very smart. He straightened up slightly, stood up from the wall, and scanned the tomb area with his eyes. Every minute, he would turn on the true life path for 5 seconds and then turn it off. This is a carefully calculated time, 5 seconds of consumption, and about 1 minute to recover. He discovered that the more spiritual waves contained in the Deja, the faster recovery would be. The consumption of 5 seconds is less than 1% of the spiritual wave he currently possesses. In 1 minute, Lingbo's reserves can be restored naturally. This method of use greatly increases the frequency and time of use of Deja. It plays a huge role in Lin Yi's observation of various phenomena between heaven and earth. A few hours passed, and soon it was midnight. During this period, he carefully observed the cemetery and did not see any resentful spirits except the resentful spirit in white. It seems that there are not many ghosts in this cemetery. What's going on? There should be certain conditions for the formation of resentful spirits. Lin Yi's own diary records in detail the various supernatural incidents he has solved in the past 3 years. At the same time, these supernatural events will also be analyzed. Before there was an explanation, his analysis of the resentful spirits was very limited. Basically, you have to wait for the resentful spirit to reach the stage of materialization before you can make contact with it. After getting the Taoist explanation, he had a better understanding of the existence of resentful spirits and discovered resentment. There is also another special kind of wraith that is different from the wraith, a wraith that can increase the upper limit of his spiritual wave. At 12 o'clock exactly, time seemed to stand still at this moment. The cemetery where Lin Yi was located suddenly became even deadlier. At this moment, it seemed that even the scavenging insects underground had disappeared. A faint coldness leaked out from a grave in the cemetery. Kaka. There was a sound of rocks rubbing against each other. Call. A strange and heavy breathing sound sounded. On a tomb, black air filled the air, and a 2-meter-tall figure slowly walked out of the black air. His steps were heavy, his back was hunched, his arms were hanging down, and his green eyes exuded a strong evil aura. The black, dry skin was in tatters, and a huge corpse odor spread around. Lin Yi noticed his presence as soon as the voice sounded. Turning his head and looking towards the cemetery, he saw the huge wraith standing in front of a tomb. The tomb is 2 meters square and made of black rocks. It is very exquisite and obviously has a high status in this cemetery. Family cemeteries have different specifications depending on their status. The tomb, which is 2 meters in length and width, is of the highest standard in this family. At this time, the resentful spirit had already seen Lin Yi, and the green light in his eyes became darker green. A wave of malice came over him, a thirst for flesh and blood. It walked slowly towards Lin Yi, its steps were slow, its body was heavy, and it seemed a bit like a zombie. But Lin Yi was not careless, the light of Taoist understanding bloomed in his eyes, and the foreign spirit sutra in his body was trembling. Is it that special kind of resentful spirit again? In his eyes, the world turned into different colors. A huge black mass appeared in front. The black aura was very terrifying. All kinds of energy and all invisible things in the surrounding air were avoiding it. It seems that the whole world hates this black mist. This mass of black energy suddenly began to tremble, then suddenly jumped up and rushed towards Lin Yi. Without rashly coming into contact with this mass of black energy, Lin Yi somersaulted and landed in the cemetery. Boom! There was a huge muffled sound. The resentful spirit struck Lin Yi's position with a claw. The huge palm, which is 30 centimeters long, is as ferocious as the claws of a monster. 5 huge cracks were blasted out of the wall. The resentful spirit walks very slowly, but moves very quickly. Lin Yi took a closer look at the face of the resentful spirit. It was an old man with a beard. The clothes on his body were all torn, and his black body was completely naked. Withered, rotten, and deformed hands, the whole thing gave people a very weird image. It opened its mouth, filled with pitch black air, rotten teeth, and a foul stench. Roar! Its body was slightly bent, Its two thick lower limbs were bent, and its eyes were fixed on Lin Yi. Obviously, it has entered an attack state. Hula! His body shook, and like a phantom, he jumped 5 meters, directly in front of Lin Yi. It was greeted by 6 bright red tentacles. Puff puff puff. The tentacles extended from Lin Yi's left index finger and instantly bound the limbs, neck, and waist of the corpse-like ghost. The blood tentacles were very powerful, and the power of each one was basically equivalent to half of Lin Yi's full strength. The 6 tentacles directly tied the ghost in mid-air, unable to touch the ground, and it directly lost the basis for exerting force. It struggled hard, but the 6 tentacles, under Lin Yi's control, pulled its limbs and neck straight, not giving it any chance to struggle. Lin Yi walked in front of the ghost with great interest, and a corpse stench came to his face, and a glimmer of green light flashed in his eyes. Looking at this corpse-like ghost, a ball of dark black air attached to its heart. After thinking about it, Lin Yi took out his mountain-splitting knife from behind. Swish! The knife flashed, and the belly was cut open. The shriveled and rotten belly was broken open, and a huge corpse stench came to his face. Lin Yi's body was covered with the Great Power Diamond Sutra, and his spiritual waves were running to isolate the air and avoid corrosion. His abdomen was filled with black air, and there were completely rotten intestines and stomachs, and some strange black maggots were crawling inside. These black maggots were exposed to the air and struggled terribly. Their heads opened their mouths full of sharp teeth. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. These maggots suddenly pounced on Lin Yi, and there were more than a dozen of them. Lin Yi's face was indifferent, and his whole body of energy and spiritual waves shook. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 23. The black maggots that fell on him were struck by lightning and were directly bounced away. They exploded in mid-air and turned into meat paste. Weird, are there still parasites? They seem to have mutated as well. Woo woo woo. The weird corpse ghost struggled frantically, but its limbs were locked by the blood tentacles. The corrosive power of the tentacles was still rapidly corroding his shriveled and rotten muscles and skin, and soon his limbs and neck turned into bones. Only the spine was left in the waist and abdomen, and it was only a few dozen seconds. Lin Yi nodded. The power of the blood ring is also very strong. With the wailing ring, it can save lives in critical moments. In the future, in critical moments, use these 2 items left by the ghost again, and don't expose them in advance. After the blood tentacles corroded the ghost's body, it had completely lost its ability to move. Lin Yi waved his mountain-splitting knife and cut open its heart. A dark gas mass floated inside its heart. This is not resentment, but the mysterious power devoured by my other spirit sutra. There is no strong emotion, just a pure darkness. Raising his hand, the palm full of spiritual waves and essence grabbed the heart of the resentful spirit. Puff. Like a crushed egg, the black gas collapsed instantly. The spiritual waves in Lin Yi's body began to tremble, generating an inexplicable suction force. The black gas scattered in the resentful spirit's body rushed into his body like a swallow returning to its nest. The spiritual waves trembled slowly, and the black gas was broken in his body and finally merged into the spiritual waves. In his consciousness, he could see that the second mark of the second lotus handprint next to the true destiny Daija was lit. 81 handprints, the second one is lit, and there are still 79, and there is a long way to go. The corpse resentful spirit without the black gas melted like wax. The shriveled corpse collapsed quickly, and the bones became fragile and broke one after another. A pile of white ash and black solution accumulated on the ground, and the stench was overwhelming. Lin Yi shook his head in disdain. It's disgusting. Looking around, the cemetery returned to peace again. Except for the claw marks on the wall, It seemed that nothing had happened just now. It seems that it has been resolved. I got 100 gold coins. It's been a big harvest recently. After 2 business deals, I finally replenished my small treasury. With a satisfied smile, Lin Yi walked out of the cemetery and headed back to the direction of Honglian City. As soon as Lin Yi left, a strange woman's face appeared on the cemetery wall. It was the white-clothed ghost that Lin Yi had just seen messing around with the taxi driver. She floated in the air 1 meter above the ground, looking at the scene in the cemetery. There was horror in her eyes. Who is this person? So scary. You actually killed this monster. I don't even dare to get close to here. The ghost looked at the direction where Lin Yi disappeared. There are many powerful beings in this world. Although I have become a ghost, I should be careful and don't provoke them. The ghost quickly moved away from here and returned to his grave, never to appear again. On the hill 100 meters away from the cemetery, 2 figures stood here. One of them was Xiaoqiu. At this time, he was holding a telescope and standing respectfully beside the other person. A faint voice sounded. It can be confirmed that this person has the ability to kill strange beings. The bright red tentacles should be some kind of strange ability. You can be the candidate this time. Let's go there tomorrow. Yes, miss. The night in Honglian City was dead silent. Although it is the capital, the night here seems to be more deserted because of the various ghost incidents that have occurred recently. Walking on the street, Lin Yi, who was swaying, looked very eye-catching. Especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, stop ahead. Lin Yi heard the call and looked towards the place where the sound came from. A police officer in uniform came from under a street light. He came 2 meters away from Lin Yi and saluted first. Under the dim light, Lin Yi could see that the police officer was about 20 years old and looked handsome. His eyes were full of determination for his duties, a young police officer full of justice. He said politely, "Hello, I am a patrolman from Honglian City, please show me your ID." Lin Yi smiled and looked at him. "I am a resident here, this is my ID." He took out his ID and showed it to the police officer. The police officer looked at Lin Yi's ID, then looked at Lin Yi's appearance and nodded. He returned the certificate to Lin Yi. "I have checked it. I wish you a happy life, Mr. Lin Yi." With a slight smile, Lin Yi said, "I also wish you a smooth mission. Being a police officer is a hard job. Thank you for your concern. It's late at night. Please go home carefully." Nodding, the handsome young police officer turned and walked towards a small alley on the left. Looking at the disappearing police officer, Lin Yi frowned. He felt that he seemed to have seen this person somewhere, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Shaking his head, he turned and left. In the Wanchaiwu, Lin Yi sat at his desk and raised his pen. The diary turned to a new page. Case number 18. January 22, 2019. Location, North District Cemetery. Type of ghost, unknown ghost, corpse transformation. The ghost transformed from the corpse in the grave. It's still an unknown ghost. This type of unknown ghost appeared 3 times in a month. It should be the result of the world's changes. The second set of the Strange Spirit Sutra hand seals light up the second hand seal. All of them must be lit up. In addition to cultivation, you can also hunt unknown ghosts. The source of the unknown ghost is unknown. The nature of the black gas is unknown. He closed the diary and looked at the time. 3 o'clock in the morning. Time flies so fast. Shaking his head, Lin Yi turned over and sat on the bed, sitting cross-legged, and began to pinch the seals with both hands. 9981 seals. An hour passed in a blink of an eye, and a green spiritual wave trembled slowly all over his body. The green spiritual wave produced by the lotus of the second set of seals became deeper. At this time, the third hand seal also brightened a little bit. Persistent practice is the source of continuous progress. After practicing the Strange Spirit Sutra, the next is the daily compulsory course, the Great Power Diamond Sutra. Refine the food gas and the energy between heaven and earth into essence. Since reaching the summit, he could feel the upper limit of his body's energy increasing every day. Now 10 days have passed, and the amount of energy is nearly doubled compared to the initial amount. After practicing today, he felt that the upper limit of his energy was greatly reduced, almost only 1/10 of yesterday's. Slowly opening his eyes, he frowned. Is there a limit to the amount of energy stored in the body? It seems that it is very difficult to continue to improve now. Is it the result of years of polishing? The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 24. It seems that the state of reaching the top is about to reach the limit. What should I do next? I don't have any method of cultivation after reaching the top. With doubts in his heart, he casually opened his mobile phone and logged into the Great Martial Arts Forum. The Great Martial Arts Forum is a forum established by a group of enthusiasts who are extremely passionate about martial arts. There are various speculations about martial arts in it. Because it is a niche forum, there are more dry goods. At least Lin Yi has seen some explanations of the scriptures of the Great Power Diamond Sutra from it. At present, the Great Power Diamond Sutra is not a secret martial arts. Although it is indeed very exquisite and not a common product, it is widely circulated and seems very ordinary. Browsing the forum, Lin Yi looked for posts about how to practice after reaching the top. After browsing for half an hour, there was no information about this in the latest updates. After thinking about it, Lin Yi posted a post. What will be the road after reaching the top? Is it the legendary way of immortals? A standard title party, throwing out bricks to attract jade? Maybe someone will reply. After closing the martial arts forum, Lin Yi clicked on a small video website, Tide. This is a website operated by a group company in the Red Lotus realm. It was originally created because the world was changing and martial arts became more and more magical. It brings together videos shot by many people in the Red Lotus realm who are keen on martial arts. It shows their martial arts skills, such as eagle claws crushing stones, resisting boulders, various magical actions, etc. These videos always attract various comments. Some are martial arts comments, some are various praises, and there are also various haters. The clicks and comments of these people will bring a lot of traffic, and the website will eventually pay cash to the person who recorded the video. It is the same as the small video websites such as Douyin on Earth. However, the content of the small videos here is not the content in Douyin, but basically related to martial arts. During this period, there are even ghost events, such as people going to famous horror places to shoot, and even videos of getting rid of ghosts. These videos are very popular. Basically, once they involve ghosts, the clicks are more than 100,000. Especially recently, there are more and more videos about vengeful spirits, and various vengeful spirits frequently appear in videos. It gives many people a feeling of doomsday. Looking at the comments below these videos, there are many doomsday remarks. Is the world going to end? Recently, I feel that vengeful spirits appear everywhere. There is a grave next to my house, and there are strange crying sounds every night, and I dare not go out. Browsing these videos and comments, Lin Yi is also identifying which ones are real and which ones are fake. His purpose of frequently browsing videos about vengeful spirits is to increase his knowledge of vengeful spirits. If you do this business, you may suffer a great loss at any time if you don't know more. Suddenly, his hand paused, and a video fell into his eyes. This is a file with detailed names, ages, places of residence, and photos. A man wearing a ghost mask is introducing it. This is a police officer in Honglian City, 22 years old, from Bailey Township, and he is an upright person. But unfortunately, he died in a night robbery last year, with dozens of knife marks on his body. He was stabbed to death by the gangsters. Although he was buried with honor, his soul has not rested. In recent days, someone found his figure through the night monitor, appearing on the streets at night to patrol. This is a screenshot of my video. After careful repair, it was compared with the photo. A relatively blurred black and white picture was compared with the photo in the file just now. I only heard the blogger say, according to my investigation at present. This police officer named Han Zheng may not know that he is dead. That's why he has been wandering around his post. As long as he knows that he is dead, his soul should rest. Tomorrow night, I will broadcast this matter live and help him to transcend. Welcome everyone to watch my live broadcast at that time and follow my ID Phantom Master. Take you to understand the world of resentful spirits at the first time. With the last sentence, the picture ended. Below the video, the number of clicks increased by tens of thousands, and various comments came in one after another. Master Xuanling is really a master. This time, his soul can rest in peace. I have been following Master Xuanling. He handled the previous 3 cases very well. Looking forward to tomorrow's live broadcast, I will definitely watch it. Haha, it is still uncertain whether the previous 3 cases of Master Xuanling are real. Maybe they are post-production. That's right, there are so many fake videos now, let's see how he broadcasts tomorrow. Various comments kept appearing below the comments, and Lin Yi shook his head as he looked at these comments. No wonder I said I had seen him somewhere. He was on TV at this time last year. But he turned into a vengeful spirit. It seems that he is either very obsessed or resentful. I don't know where this Master Xuanling came from. Tomorrow? Maybe I can go and see. He may die very ugly. In the 3 years of working in this industry, Lin Yi has seen more than a dozen vengeful spirits. He has only seen one vengeful spirit that can be truly regarded as kind, which is a terrifyingly low ratio. Looking at the time, it was already 5 o'clock. Lin Yi turned off his phone, lay on the bed, and sleepwalked. Time passed quickly, and there was no conversation all night. Dong dong dong. Boss, get up, there's a guest. There was a knock on the door, and Lin Yi frowned and woke up. Yawn. Stretching, he turned over and got up, and his impatient voice sounded, "What are you making noise for? Here it comes." Creaky. Opening the door, looking at Brandy, he was looking at Lin Yi helplessly. "Boss, it's 10 o'clock, the sun is shining on your butt." Okay, tell me, what guest?" "The elderly gentleman named Xiaqiu yesterday." Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi smiled, "He's the one who gave me money, why don't you just accept it?" Brandy smiled bitterly, "He's accompanied by a lady, who looks like his boss or master." Miss, frowning, Lin Yi felt a little troubled. Unable to figure out what the other party was up to, Lin Yi said to Brandy, "You go and entertain them, serve some tea, I'll wash up and come out." Brandy nodded, "Boss, hurry up." "There's a beautiful girl across the street," Brandy said as he turned around and looked at the lobby outside, his eyes shining. Bang. A sudden kick landed on Brandy's butt, making him roll out. "Okay, stop talking nonsense, go and explain." Covering his butt, Brandy screamed in pain, "Boss, I told you not to kick my butt. If you kick me again, I'll get angry." The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 25. Looking at the angry Brandy, Lin Yi sneered, "Bah, you owe me hundreds of gold coins, you're in trouble. Let you talk all day long." Humph, he turned around and entered the house. Bang. The door closed, leaving Brandy with an angry look on his face. Brandy's face fell, and she wailed as she thought of her debt. "When I finish paying back the money, I'll fire you sooner or later. Damn it, you damn store manager." Brandy came to the lobby and looked at the old gentleman Xiaoqiu standing next to the sofa and the mysterious girl sitting on the sofa. He smiled awkwardly and said, "The store manager is washing up. He will come out later. You will have to wait for a while." Xiaoqiu's face turned a little gloomy. "We've been waiting for him for an hour, and your store manager is a little too arrogant." At this time, the girl raised her hand and stopped the old gentleman Xiaoqiu, who wanted to say anything else. Needless to say, after waiting for an hour, it didn't take long. After hearing what the girl said, Xiaoqiu couldn't hold back his gloomy expression. The girl was wearing a black dress and small black leather shoes. The skirt was slender and only her ankles were exposed. She has a graceful figure and a well-proportioned body without any fat. Her arms are slender and as fair as jade. As for the face, there is no makeup, but it is natural and delicate, and the big eyes are like a pool of autumn water that cannot be seen to the bottom. She has a pair of slender eyebrows, a small nose, and a cherry mouth, just like the person walking out of the painting. She is astonishingly beautiful. Moreover, her whole body was filled with a special faint fragrance, which seemed to be the fragrance of flowers, but she couldn't smell it. This floral fragrance has a range, which is only within 3 feet of the girl. Beyond this range, you can't smell it at all. It's very magical. However, this girl is very beautiful, but she exudes a cold aura, without any gentleness at all, like a piece of ice that has lasted for thousands of years. His autumn-like eyes were full of coldness, without any emotion. 5 minutes later, Lin Yi, who had changed into casual clothes, walked out. As soon as he entered his eyes, he saw Xiaoqiu and the mysterious girl. Xiaoqiu stood beside the girl, looking like a servant. "Hey, you two, it's been a long wait. Sorry, I slept a little late last night. Mr. Xiaoqiu, the task you assigned has been completed. Why don't you settle the account?" Xiaoqiu didn't say anything and took out a bag of gold coins from his arms. He raised his hand and threw it to Lin Yi. "This is the remaining balance." Lin Yi took the small bag, held it lightly, and nodded. "The quantity is enough. Let's get down to business. Do you two have any other troubles that you would like me to help you solve?" He looked at the cold beautiful girl in front of him with a smile, looking like he was laughing and joking. The cold girl looked at Lin Yi. "I have a mission to solve the hundreds of missing cases currently happening in Honglian City." Lin Yi was stunned when he heard this and frowned. Hundreds of missing cases. So many? It seems like only a dozen people are missing in the news. Of course, it just wasn't announced, I suppressed it. Hearing this, Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and said, "That's awesome. I dare you to ask your name." The cold girl said coldly, "My name is Sakuramiya Shirley, the granddaughter of the previous head of the Sakuramiya family." When the girl revealed her identity, Lin Yi was shocked. The Sakuramiya family in Red Lotus City is a huge family that controls part of the economy in the Red Lotus world. There are no more than 10 people in the entire Red Lotus world who can rival their family. Legend has it that they were behind the establishment of the Red Lotus Realm Empire. Thinking of the information about the Yinjiang family, Lin Yi keenly sensed a hint of danger. He narrowed his eyes and said, "It turns out she is the eldest lady of the Sakuramiya family. Can you explain to me the ins and outs? I need to assess the risks." Sakuramiya Shirley heard this and said indifferently, "The reason is very simple. These hundreds of disappearances all occurred in the sewer system of Red Lotus City. All the treatment equipment and sewage plants in Honglian City sewer system are under the responsibility of our Sakuronomiya family. It is a subsidiary of our family group. For some reasons, I cannot let the Sakuramiya family's own power intervene and need to find external help. The incident behind this involves the phenomenon of resentful spirits, which needs experts to solve. I asked the housekeeper to find out that you are currently the most famous handler of the ghost phenomenon in Red Lotus City. I have been in the industry for 3 years and have rich experience in handling more than a dozen cases. The task brought by the butler yesterday was also a test. Confirm whether you have the ability to deal with ghost incidents, so I will show up today. This mission involves the Sakuramiya family's secrets, so the reward is very high. Saying that, Shirley Sakuramiya took out a scripture and placed it on the table. Lin Yi looked at the scripture. It was a general outline with several ancient characters written at the beginning. The powerful Vajra seal. Then came dozens of words. So I heard. At one time, the Buddha was in the country of Savatya. There were only trees in the garden of solitude. Lin Yi was reading the scriptures, and Sakura Gong Shirley's voice was clear and cold. I know you practice the Mighty Diamond Sutra. I know the origin of this martial arts technique very well. The reward for asking you to take action this time is this powerful Vajra seal. This is the follow-up and advanced practice method of the powerful Diamond Sutra. Although this thing is not a precious method, with your status, it is basically impossible to come into contact with these things in this life. Lin Yi fell into silence after hearing this, and then a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It's indeed a big deal. I have observed many martial arts deeds in the Red Lotus world. But there is no information about what happened after reaching the summit. I didn't expect to gain anything from you. Lin Yi looked at Shirley Yinjiang with a smile, an undetectable blue light flickering in his eyes. His heart sank slightly, it's so powerful. The power contained in the Sakuramiya Shirley's body is at least twice as powerful as mine. At this time, in his eyes, there was a mysterious round object located in the danchan of Sakuramiya Shirley's body. It contains profound power, vigorous and full of vitality. A trace of power flowed along the meridians like smoke, nourishing every structure in her body. Is this the realm above the summit? He thought thoughtfully. A feeling of dizziness came over me, and I was startled, so I immediately looked into my consciousness. The brilliance of the true destiny there is dim and the consumption is huge. Is this true? To observe people who are more powerful than me, does it require more spiritual energy to pay? I didn't dare to look at Shirley Sakuramiya any longer, all this had only lasted 10 seconds. Shirley Sakuragong saw that Lin Yi kept looking at her, but seemed to be distracted again. It didn't seem like he was coveting his beauty. It felt strange and he frowned slightly. He said coldly, Mr. Lin, do you want to accept this business? Lin Yi regained his breath slightly at this time and resisted the dizziness in his head. I've accepted this order, but I need to explain it first. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 26. If the danger is greater than the value of this scripture, I will leave immediately. I pay attention to equal exchange and fair trade. Sakuramiya Shirley's cold face did not change at all. Don't worry, although this order is dangerous, it is still within the tolerance range. The two reached an agreement, and Shirley Sakuramiya picked up the scripture and shook it slightly. A sharp force flowed out from her fingers and flashed in the middle of the scripture. The complete scripture was cut in half from the middle, and the fracture was as smooth as a knife. Shirley Sakuramiya put the upper part on the table. This is half of the deposit. After completing all tasks, you can get the full book. Lin Yi picked up the version of Vajra Fundamental Seal, smiled and said, then when will it start? Shirley Sakuragong glanced at Lin Yi and said, you have 3 days to prepare. This time the ghost incident is not simple, you'd better be prepared. Haha, I won't joke with my life. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes. Lin Yi frowned as he watched Shirley Yinjiang and the old gentleman Xiaqiu leave. So many people are missing in the sewers. Let's see if there is any information from Old Wei. He looked at half of the scriptures in his hand and flipped through a few pages. They were all filled with unknown characters, but they seemed to be hieroglyphs. What kind of text is this? Looks like we need to check it out. Night came soon. Lin Yi frowned as he looked at the message from Old Wei. It's not easy to deal with. The sewer system of Red Lotus City was used as a bomb shelter during the war in the past. It's complicated, and the legend also hides the secret armory and laboratory of the Red Lotus Empire. Vagrants and criminals of all kinds often hide in it, and it's very chaotic. Although the Sakuranomi Ya family took over the underground sewage treatment project, these countless air raid shelters were transformed into sewer systems throughout the city, but only part of the normal air raid shelters could be transformed. His eyes fell on the most important part of the document, and he frowned. Many places in the underground hollows are abandoned, or closed, or have become a paradise for many black markets and criminals. A month ago, there was even a black market mass disappearance in the sewers. The famous Black Moon black market completely disappeared in one night. Also disappearing are all the people from all walks of life who gathered there on the day of the Black Moon black market. Then the families of these people reported the crime, and reporters got wind of it. But the Sakuramiya family reacted quickly and immediately used their power to suppress the major newspapers and hide the true content. There is only information about a dozen people missing in the report. Then there was also a case where all the workers in the sewerage and sewage treatment center disappeared. Lin Yi put down the document in his hand when he saw this. 2 mass disappearances, hundreds of people disappeared. This incident of resentful spirits is not simple at all. Just listening to it made Lin Yi feel his scalp numb. You have to make more preparations this time. Ring ring ring. The phone rang. Lin Yi looked at it and saw the 12 o'clock alarm. It seems that Phantom Master is going to deal with the police officer who turned into a wraith tonight. You can observe. Wearing many suits, Lin Yi went out carrying his machete. Honglian City was not lively at 12 o'clock at night, and there was no one on the street. Lin Yi went directly to the street where he last met the police officer, Tianren Street. Looking around, Lin Yi saw a human-shaped overpass. It's a good location. He walked a few steps over, leaned against the overpass, and turned on his phone. Click on the Tide app to directly enter the personal homepage of the Phantom Master you are following. At this time, the live broadcast has started, and the voice of Phantom Master came from the video. In the video, the Phantom Master placed the camera on his head so that everyone could see in front of him. He was walking down the street. There was no one around him except for the lights on both sides of the road. The Phantom Master's voice sounded, I am now near Tianren Street in Honglian City. This is where the police officer patrols on weekdays. Let's see if I have a chance to meet him tonight. This is the first time on the entire network that a real live broadcast is used to dispel resentful spirits. Shouting hard, someone in the live broadcast had already set up airplanes, cannons, and various gifts. The Phantom Master is full of energy, but his true face cannot be seen in the video, and he has never shown his true identity. Lin Yi looked away from his phone and began to look around, looking for traces of the Phantom Master. Soon, he saw a figure appearing at the intersection at the end of Tianren Street. This man was wearing a grey monk's robe, with his hair tied in a bun, and a big beard. He looked 40 or 50 years old. Holding a compass in his hand, he was looking for something everywhere, dressed like a Taoist priest in the mountains. This Red Lotus world is very strange, there are Buddhism, Taoism, and even Confucianism and so on. But just like the Chinese era, they are just a religion and there is nothing magical about it. However, with the changes in the world in the past 3 years, martial arts masters have appeared in many Buddhist and Taoist temples. At the same time, he also has some special means that can get rid of resentful spirits. He is widely active in various parts of the Red Lotus world and gradually begins to step onto the world stage. But these are just rumors, this is the first time he has seen the real thing. Is this a Taoist priest of a certain school? Lin Yi squatted on the overpass to make himself inconspicuous. This Master Huanling walked on the street below, looking left and right. At the same time, his footsteps kept stepping in strange steps, which looked very mysterious. In the mobile phone, the voice of Master Huanling kept ringing, saying various metaphysical terms. Seeing him working hard to fool people, many people were stunned, and the video was filled with gifs again. Lin Yi envied, "This guy is really good at talking, I can't do it." Live broadcasting also depends on means and mouth. He is really good at talking and acting well. For these guys who make a fortune every day, Lin Yi is very envious. Talent, really talent, I can't learn it, I can only eat a bowl of technical rice, Lin Yi said self-pityingly. Time passed slowly, and Master Huanling wandered around Tianren Street for about half an hour. People in the live broadcast room began to leave one after another, and various doubts appeared on the screen barrage. "Are there any vengeful spirits?" "You are not lying." I said, "There are no vengeful spirits in this world, they are all rumors." Various barrages quickly dominated the screen. Master Huanling seemed a little anxious. "Don't worry, this ghost appears without a regular pattern. How can it be so easy to meet?" As he was speaking, a barrage of comments suddenly flashed across the screen. "Damn, it appeared, look, there is someone. Really, someone is coming. Master Huanling, look." Amid the shouting, Master Huanling looked away from his phone and looked in front of him. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 27. There was a man in a police uniform walking towards him along the street. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. Under the light, his face flickered. Master Huanling's eyes lit up, his eyes narrowed, and a wretched smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He obviously found his target. "Finally here, everyone, give your gifts and watch my performance. I will let you witness the legendary method of exorcising evil spirits with your own eyes." Lin Yi also became excited when he saw the police officer who seemed to be an evil spirit. It was very exciting to watch others exorcise evil spirits on the spot. At this time, the police officer walked straight towards Master Huanling. When he came in front of Master Huanling, his face became serious. He saluted, "Sir, please show me your ID card. The public security is not good recently. I need to check your identity. Please cooperate." Master Huanling smiled slightly when he heard this. "Of course there is no problem." An ID card was handed to the police officer. He took the ID card and looked at it, comparing it with Master Huanling's face. Then he took out a palm-sized machine and began to enter Master Huanling's ID number. A few minutes later, he returned the ID card to Master Huanling. "The identity is correct, thank you for your cooperation." "It's so late, sir, go home quickly." After Master Huanling took the ID card, the police officer turned around and was about to leave. "Your name is Zheng Kai, right?" The police officer paused as he was about to leave, turned his head and looked at Master Huanling in confusion. "How do you know my name?" The police officer looked at Master Huanling with a vigilant face. Master Huanling smiled slightly. "I not only know your name, but also know that both your parents are dead. They died in a car accident 10 years ago. But you don't think their death was a simple car accident, and you have been investigating their real cause of death for 10 years. You even entered the police system. You also have a wife named Liang Ruhing and a son Zhengwen." Looking at the mysterious Master Huanling, Zheng Kai got goosebumps all over his body. He looked at Master Huanling with a serious expression. "Who are you? Why are you investigating me? Are you related to the cause of death of my parents?" After asking 3 questions in a row, Zheng Kai's hand had already touched his waist, where his police gun was. Looking at Zheng Kai, who was about to draw his gun after a disagreement, Master Huanling smiled slightly. "Don't be nervous, I will explain it to you word by word. First, my name is Master Xuanling. Second, I am a Taoist priest who specializes in solving various vicious ghost incidents. Third, the reason I investigated you is that you are dead and now a lost ghost. Looking at Master Xuanling's serious look, Zheng Kai smiled and looked at him like a madman. Are you crazy? I am a ghost, I am dead. There is no such thing as a ghost in this world. You must be a liar. He took out his gun and pointed it at Master Xuanling. Kneel down on the ground immediately and raise your hands. I suspect you are related to many cases. For a person who is committed to investigating his own information, Zheng Kai strongly suspects that the other party is related to the death of his parents. Master Xuanling has a kind smile on his face. Spreading his hands, showing his harmlessness, you don't have to be so nervous, what I said is true. In fact, there is a simple way to prove that you are dead. Try to recall, do you have any memory of the daytime? Have you only had the memory of patrolling at night recently? Zheng Kai sneered at Master Xuanling's words. During the day, of course I was patrolling during the day. Zheng Kai's originally sneering face suddenly stiffened, and his mind was blank. Suddenly, a sharp pain came over his head, and he couldn't remember what he was doing during the day. He felt dizzy and his whole body was sore. It hurts, what's going on? Ah, it hurts. A stream of black resentment floated out from his body. Master Xuanling's voice was low at this time, and it seemed to contain some kind of hypnotic power. You are already dead, but you don't know you are dead. So you repeat your work every day. I pointed out your flaws, and then you realized that you were dead. Headache means your memory is recovering. Zheng Kai's body swayed from side to side, and his kneeling body was emitting more and more resentment. He bent down, covered his chest in pain, and half knelt on the ground. His eyes were confused and full of pain, and he recalled his death. A memory flashed through his mind. A sharp knife light pierced his chest and abdomen, and there were more than a dozen knives in an instant. The severe pain swept through his nerves, and he could only fall to the ground fragilely and watch the other party leave calmly. You have investigated too much, so go to hell. The murderous voice, the memory stopped abruptly at this point. Anger, despair, countless negative emotions surged into my heart. A roar, no. How can I die? I still need to find out the cause of my parents' death. I still have a wife and children. I won't die, ah ah ah. Zheng Kai's voice began to become weird with anger, as if his mouth and nose were covered with hoarse and dull sound. Lin Yi watched from the overpass, frowning. Interesting, this Master Xuanling is quite capable. It turns out that this guy has revealed his true form just by talking nonsense. At this moment, he looked at his phone, and the comments in the live broadcast room had already taken off. Various gifts swept across the screen without cost. Obviously, the audience behind the live broadcast had already seen Zheng Kai's abnormality. The resentment was so strong that ordinary people could see it, strong and pure, and a weird feeling permeated. Damn, there really is a vengeful spirit. It's really Zheng Kai. He lives next door to his house, and I've seen his wife and children. He really became a vengeful spirit. Lin Yi scanned the number of viewers, which had risen to the million level. There are millions of people staying up late to watch this live broadcast. A strange feeling came to his mind. Such a speed of fame, should I try it too? Forget it, this kind of business, it's better to be low-key. If someone spots it, it's not a good thing. Lin Yi thought of the mysterious woman he met in Hongliang Mansion. He had tricked the other party. If he was discovered and came to his door, it would not be a good thing. At this time, Zheng Kai changed again, and his body began to swell. His palms turned black, and sharp black claws grew out. His face was ferocious, and sharp fangs grew out. His arms, legs, and body swelled by 1/3, and his eyes were dark with green light. He looked like a ghost, and the live broadcast room exploded directly. It's changed, it's become a ghost. You're going to explode, it's so exciting. Exciting, really exciting. The barrage of comments came one after another, and countless gifs exploded on the screen. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 28. Master Phantom's expression changed dramatically when he saw the changes that had taken place in Zhengkai. No, this person is too resentful. This is the transformation of a resentful spirit. Heaven and earth are infinite. Zhou Tian borrows the law, the soul calming talisman, and the pardon order to summon it. I saw the Phantom Master making seals with both hands, and a yellow talisman appeared in his hand. In the center of this yellow talisman is red cinnabar, with complex runes drawn on it. As he chanted the spell, a trace of golden breath flowed into the talisman along his arm. The talisman paper lit up with a trace of crystal golden light, and the Phantom Master looked serious. He raised the talisman and slapped it on the head of Zhengkai, who was falling into madness and mutation. Snap! With a soft sound, the talisman was attached to Zhengkai's head. As the talisman was attached to Zhengkai, his body froze. Dots of golden threads spread out from the talisman paper, quickly binding his whole body like a rope. In the distance, Lin Yi squatted on the overpass, watching the scene with a hint of interest. It's interesting. What kind of method is this? The talisman really looks like something from a novel. His eyes were deep, and his true fate interpretation had been opened, and everything just now was reflected in his eyes. All the mysteries of the talisman were revealed in his mind. Including the faint golden auras circulating in the Phantom Master's body can be seen at a glance. Countless information quickly flowed out from the mark of the true destiny, allowing him to understand everything clearly. Zhengkai's resentment was suppressed by the golden thread, and could only surge inside Zhengkai's body. And his mutated body quickly slowed down, but his face showed a look of pain. It hurts, it hurts. Ah! I heard the Phantom Master say in horror, it's really dangerous. After this guy regained his memory just now, he remembered the scene of his death. Because he was killed by someone else, his resentment broke out. Fortunately, I have the trapping talisman, which can restrain him and prevent him from turning into a wraith. Everyone, let's see how I convert him. The Phantom Master looked nervous and told the audience in the live broadcast room. Various gifts have been played again, and the scene just now made everyone feel very exciting and magical. As the changes in Zhengkai's body stopped, his resentment was bound by golden threads, and his somewhat chaotic thinking seemed to return to sanity. He looked at his dark hands with claws in confusion. Looking up at the Phantom Master, 2 lines of red blood were left on the ferocious face, and a hoarse and low voice sounded. What do I do? Master Phantom looked at Zhengkai's miserable look and sighed. Zhengkai, you are dead. This is irreparable. Death is like a lamp going out. Everything in this world has nothing to do with you. You'd better put down the resentment and obsession in your heart and disappear. Everything in this world has its own destiny. The dead should not linger, otherwise there will be retribution. It might endanger your family. Master Phantom looked solemn and persuaded Zhengkai very sincerely. When he heard the word family and karma, Zhengkai's confused eyes suddenly became confused. No, 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 no one can harm my wife and children. Kill you, kill you. Ah! Crazy roars sounded, and at this moment, the resentment that had been restrained seemed to boil again. Ah! With a low roar, Zhengkai's whole body swelled, and resentment spread around him. The golden threads spreading from the talisman above his head were drowned by resentment. Between light and death, it was about to be completely broken. The Phantom Master exclaimed, "No, this person's resentment is too deep and he can't wake up on his own. Only I can save him." After the words fell, a blue-covered scripture appeared in Master Phantom's hand. I saw him turning to the first page of the scripture and starting to recite some words. A trace of golden power in his hand was injected into the scripture. A series of illusory golden characters floated out from the scriptures and enveloped Zhengkai. The talisman paper above Zhengkai's head was already dim, but with the blessing of the golden characters, it instantly became brighter. The number of golden threads gradually increased and spread towards Zhengkai's body. He trembled all over and fell to the ground, rolling crazily. The pain had completely overwhelmed him. He let out a desperate roar. "Ah, it hurts. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, ah ah ah." Resentment continued to spurt out from his body, competing with the golden threads of the talisman. Cold sweat broke out on Master Phantom's brow, and he dared not stop reciting spells for a moment. All the power was injected into the scriptures, turned into golden symbols and integrated into the talisman paper. Lin Yi was on the overpass, watching the stalemate between Phantom Master and Zhengkai without moving. Zhenming Daoji is quickly analyzing the status of the two people, the flow of power, the changes in the talismans, and the changes in the scriptures. Countless pieces of information were taking shape in Lin Yi's mind. An illusory figure, with golden air flowing in its body, running some of its meridians. The shadow of a piece of rune paper, with subtle golden air currents running inside, formed a mysterious rune. It has the form of a vengeful spirit, an illusory body, and a black aura in the center of its body. It exudes power like smoke and fills the whole body. A feeling of weakness arose, the true meaning of life in Lin Yi's eyes faded, and the spiritual wave in his body had dropped by 4/5. Somewhat shocked, it consumes so fast. This vengeful spirit and Master Xuanling are not strong, at most they have the combat power of Guanti level. Why does it consume so much? With a trace of doubt in his heart, the situation on the street far away from the overpass changed again. Roar. An inhuman roar sounded, and Zhengkai's resentment exploded. The golden talisman paper and countless silk threads on his head disappeared without a trace under the erosion of resentment. The talisman paper turned into ashes and lost all its power. Master Xuanling shouted, "Not good." His face was pale, obviously he consumed a lot of power in the stalemate just now. At this time, Zhengkai completely turned into a vengeful spirit with two horns on his head. The skin was dark, and the sturdy limbs and torso were 3 meters high. The green eyes stared at Master Xuanling, and then suddenly pounced on him. Ah! Master Xuanling had no means at all, his face was horrified, and he turned and walked away. Two faint golden lights exploded under his feet, and he instantly rushed out 5 meters away. The ghost that Zhengkai transformed into mist, but he did not give up at all and chased after the master of phantom spirit. One man and one ghost, one in front and one behind, quickly disappeared from Lin Yi's sight. At this time, Lin Yi looked at the live broadcast room, which was in an uproar. Damn, the master of phantom spirit is in trouble. Zhengkai turned into a ghost, incredible. No way, this master of phantom spirit actually ran away. A barrage of comments quickly covered the live broadcast room. The screen in the live broadcast room was shaking violently, and the scenery on both sides of the street was passing by quickly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 29. The shaking of the screen showed that Master Xuanling was running away with all his might. Just as everyone was waiting for Master Xuanling's fate, the live broadcast room suddenly went black. A stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and Lin Yi noticed this detail. Is the live broadcast room closed? Has the power of the Empire intervened? Lin Yi did not go up to help, nor did he continue to follow and watch the excitement. Zhengkai's change was seen by so many people, I'm afraid the Federation had been alarmed long ago. Naturally, someone would deal with it, and he would not worry about it. What he cared about was the mysterious method used by Master Xuanling. Injecting power into the talisman paper can suppress the resentful spirits, which is a magical method. With a thought, the true destiny solution was activated, and the essence of the great power diamond sutra in the body turned. It turned into a pure gold color, exactly the same as the power of Master Xuanling. Then he controlled the essence to operate along the way that Master Xuanling used the talisman paper. A wisp of essence diffused from his fingers and gathered between his index finger and the middle finger to form a rune. This thing is the truth of the talisman paper, but there is a problem. Lin Yi took back the essence that formed the rune, and the rune dissipated instantly. This thing needs a carrier to exert its original power. After walking down the overpass, Lin Yi came to the place where Zheng Kai and Master Xuanling had just competed. The yellow talisman paper fragments were scattered everywhere, and Lin Yi bent down to pick them up bit by bit. After a careful inspection, he made sure that he had not missed anything, turned and walked into the shadows, and returned to the Wanchai. 10 minutes later, he returned to his room. Sitting at the desk, Lin Yi placed the broken talisman paper on a piece of white paper. Turning on the desk lamp, the orange-yellow light illuminated the table. He took out a pair of tweezers and began to piece together the talisman paper. About 10 minutes later, a roughly formed talisman paper appeared in front of him. The true destiny solution in his eyes slowly opened, and he began to observe the material that made up the talisman paper. His true destiny solution can observe everything and analyze everything, including matter. The chemical structure of this world is almost the same as that of China, and the various scientific theories are similar. Just by slightly applying the true destiny interpretation, he already knew the material of this talisman paper. Ordinary yellow paper, dyed with some dyes, and the characters on this talisman paper are just ordinary cinnabar. It should be possible to copy without much difficulty. After determining the structure of the talisman paper, Lin Yi looked at the time. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning. This talisman paper is somewhat useful. This time, Sakura Mia Shirley's mission may come in handy. Turning over to the bed, Lin Yi sat cross-legged and began his daily homework. Early the next morning, Lin Yi left the Wanchai and went to the God of Wealth temple in the east of the city. People in this world also have faith, and they believe in a divine system like the heaven. However, the supreme God is not the Jade Emperor, but heaven. Heaven represents the supreme God, a non-human supreme God. All gods under the sky are workers who manage the world, an alternative heavenly system. Although various mysterious phenomena continue in this era of world change, no one believes that gods really exist. Faith is just a kind of sustenance. Lin Yi, who came to the temple of the God of Wealth early in the morning, was obviously different. There were almost no believers at the entrance of the temple, and of course Lin Yi was not here to worship Buddha and seek immortality. His purpose was to buy the talisman paper sold here. The background of the temple of the God of Wealth was bright red, and there was a warm color everywhere. The fragrance of incense ash filled the air, and the temple looked solemn and majestic. On both sides of the temple were small shops specializing in selling various incense and candles. Lin Yi randomly chose a shop and walked in. The store was filled with the strong smell of incense, candles and paper money. The surroundings were old walls and floors. 2 wooden chairs and a wooden table were placed on the left side of the store, obviously for customers to wait. A wooden counter occupied half of the store, and the store could be seen at a glance. A middle-aged man sat behind the counter, and behind him was a wall of containers. At the top of the container, there was a dark Maitreya Buddha statue. This Buddha statue has 8 arms and is completely black. It has a strange smile on its mouth and a big belly. It lies on a tree stump and looks down. 3 blood-red incense sticks are inserted in a small tripod and offered in front of the Buddha statue. The middle-aged man behind the counter looked at Lin Yi, with an ordinary face and waxy yellow skin. The whole person looked bloodless, like a dead body. The shop was silent, with an inexplicable weirdness. The middle-aged man looked at Lin Yi, and a low and hoarse voice sounded, "What do you want to buy?" Although this shop was a bit weird, Lin Yi was not afraid. "I want to buy some blank talisman paper, cinnabar, and brushes." The middle-aged man nodded, stood up from his chair, and searched on the counter for a few times. A stack of tied talisman paper, a box of cinnabar and a brush were placed on the counter. 20 imperial coins. Lin Yi looked at the talisman paper, about 100 sheets, and nodded. He took out 2 banknotes with a 10 printed on them and placed them on the table. Holding the things, Lin Yi turned around and walked out of this strange shop. Stepping out of the door, a hint of green light appeared in Lin Yi's eyes, and he looked back at the shop. Frowning, he looked up at the name of the shop. Dishanju. It's an elegant name, but it's not elegant at all. In his eyes, the shop was filled with a faint resentment, hazy and cold. Lin Yi left without causing any trouble. In the shop, an old lady with a hunched back walked out from the depths. She had a hoarse face, full of wrinkles, and her eyes were filled with a dead silence, which made people feel cold when they saw her. "Is anyone coming?" a hoarse and indifferent voice. Leave. There seemed to be a hint of impatience in the middle-aged man's voice. The old lady walked to the counter, holding 3 bright red incense sticks in her hand, and replaced the incense that was about to burn out in the small tripod on the counter. "It's almost time, and new offerings are needed." "I said, I don't want to continue," the middle-aged man said in a low voice, with a hint of anger. "Do you want me to be alone?" The old lady's face became more and more gloomy, looking at the middle-aged man, as if she was disappointed in him. Alas, the middle-aged man showed a trace of helplessness on his face and sighed deeply. The old lady turned and walked into the aisle of the shop, disappearing into the shadows. Back at the Wanchaiwu, Lin Yi looked at Brandy. "I'm going in, you can look after the shop by yourself, call me if you need anything." "Okay, boss," Brandy said helplessly, rolling his eyes. He had long been accustomed to Lin Yi not caring about things. Back in his room, Lin Yi turned on the desk lamp and started making talisman paper. Time always passed quickly, and 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 30. Lin Yi made hundreds of perfect talisman papers, which can be infused with the power of Zhenling Sutra. Zhenling Sutra is a skill he secretly learned from Master Huanling, and he gave it a popular name. He put the talisman paper in his jacket pocket and could take it out whenever he needed it. Today he wore a tactical suit under his clothes and carried an alloy mountain-splitting knife. At this time, he was enjoying his dinner at the table. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. According to the notice, old gentleman Xiaoqiu will come to pick him up in a while. The latest news is being broadcast on the TV in the lobby. At 1 o'clock this morning, a woman in red jumped to her death from the Fenjian building in the east of the city. The woman is 18 years old and an outsider. The cause of the accident is under investigation. East of the city, Lin Yi raised his head when he heard that the incident happened in the east of the city. In the TV screen, a white cloth covered the ground, surrounded by the lights of police cars. This was obviously filmed in the early morning, and it was pitch black all around. Under the lights of the police car, blood could be vaguely seen on the ground. A pure ID photo and information appeared in the upper left corner of the screen. Lin Yuchen, 18 years old. Suicide or homicide, Lin Yi frowned. Brandy looked at the photo and clicked his tongue twice. It's a pity that such a beautiful girl died at such a young age. Looking at Brandy's complicated expression, Lin Yi said disdainfully, "You are a perpetual single dog. Even if others don't die, it won't be your turn." Brandy's eyebrows jumped with anger when he heard this. "Manager, no matter what, I have a temper." Looking at Brandy, who was jumping with anger, Lin Yi raised the corner of his mouth. Haha, you have a temper, then you should pay back the money you owe me. As long as you pay back the money, you are the boss, you can do whatever you want. With a stiff face, Brandy laughed loudly. The weather is very good today, I will move the quilt out to dry it. After that, he ran into the backyard. Humph, he snorted coldly, no longer paying attention to Brandy, the runaway little prince. Lin Yi turned his head to watch the evening news, and the picture had changed to another news. Beep. Two horns sounded outside the Wanchaiwu. Lin Yi turned his head and saw a black car parked outside. After finishing his dinner, Lin Yi got up and walked out of the Wanchaiwu. He came to the front of the car, opened the front door, and sat in. The voice of the old gentleman Xiaoqiu next to him sounded, "Are you ready?" Lin Yi smiled, "Ready, let's go." With skilled skills, he didn't feel any bumps, and the old gentleman Xiaoqiu had already driven away. More than 10 minutes later, Xuanhuan and Xiaoqiu drove to the river beach around the city in the north of the city. On the river beach, a sewer outlet with a diameter of about 10 meters stood here. The sewage flowing out of the sewer did not look dirty, and seemed to have been treated. The two came to the left of the sewer outlet, where there was a staircase walkway about 1 meter higher than the sewage. At this time, there were 4 people standing there, one of whom was Sakuramiya Shirley. She was wearing a grey robe outside, which looked quite ancient. There were dozens of flowers embroidered with gold threads on the grey robe, a kind of feminine beauty, and the material of the tactical suit could be seen inside the robe. She was wearing a pair of tactical boots and a sword hanging from her waist, giving off a heroic and neat vibe. There were 3 people standing beside her, 1 woman and 2 men. Seeing the arrival of Mr. Xiaoqiu and Lin Yi, Sakuramiya Shirley said with a cold face, "You are a little late." Lin Yi waved his hand and quickly shirked responsibility, saying, "I came here in this person's car, it's none of my business." Sakuramiya Shirley frowned and glanced at Mr. Xiaoqiu. "Butler, what's going on?" "Miss, when I went to pick up Mr. Lin Yi, there was a car accident on the road, and I took a detour and was delayed for a while." Hearing this, Sakuramiya Shirley nodded. Looking at Lin Yi, "Let me introduce you to these 3 mercenaries I invited, the Night Owl Squad. They are all proficient in martial arts, and at least they are at the level of penetration. This lady is Li Kaiyu, she is proficient in swordsmanship and is very powerful." Lin Yi looked at Li Kaiyu. She was about 72 centimeters tall, very tall, and her appearance was also beautiful. Wearing a high-fiber tactical suit, her figure was even more exquisite. Li Kaiyu's face was silent, and she nodded slightly to Lin Yi, "Hello." Sakuramiya Swilly pointed at Lin Yi and said, "This is Mr. Lin Yi, he is responsible for handling ghost incidents." Hearing this, Li Kaiyu's face changed slightly. Ghost incidents have appeared from time to time since 3 years ago, causing various hazards. It is not easy to handle such things. Although the ghost incidents on the internet are very hot, not many people actually encounter ghost incidents on weekdays. Ghost incidents are only magnified because of the internet, and most of the incidents on the internet are false incidents. It was a play put on by the anchors to gain attention and clicks. Real ghost incidents are rare, and with the suppression of the Federation, only certain circles know the details. Mercenaries who have been wandering in the gray area for many years naturally have no shortage of channels to learn about ghost incidents. The 2 male mercenaries beside Li Kaiyu also looked at Lin Yi with surprise in their eyes. Sakuramiya Shirley pointed at the 2 of them and said, "The taller one is Qin Lei, and the other one is Huang Bing." Lin Yi looked at the 2 carefully. Qin Lei was holding a shield in his left hand and a heavy hammer in his right hand. He was nearly 2 meters tall. 2 meters tall, this guy is so strong, he must be very powerful, and he also practices physical training. Lin Yi speculated in his mind, and his eyes fell on another man with a scimitar on his back. This man was thin and full of evil spirits and a faint smell of blood. Obviously, this man had killed many people. Lin Yi's eyebrows jumped. He killed a lot of ghosts, but he had never killed a person. In general, he was still a good boy. Hello, both of you. This trip is dangerous. Please take care of each other. Qin Lei and Huangbing smiled at Lin Yi. It's the same. Please take care of me, Mr. Lin Yi. The atmosphere was peaceful. Sakuramiya surely said coldly, let's go. It's getting late. Night is when the ghost incidents happen. Li Qiuyu nodded when he heard it. Qin Lei, you go in front, Huangbing, you stay behind. Miss Sakuramiya, you and I will go in the second row. Butler Xiaoqiu and Mr. Lin please go in the third row. Sakuramiya surely seemed to have given Li Qiuyu full authority, indicating that everyone should do as Li Qiuyu said. After the team formation was completed, Li Qiuyu said, let's go. A group of 6 people walked inside along the corridor on the left side of the sewer. The sky outside was gray and night had arrived. As the 6 people disappeared into the sewer. More than 10 minutes later, a figure covered in a black robe walked in from the river bank.